So how did I make the jump from 100K to my first million? So like most entrepreneurs, when you're on your way to your first 100,000, what you're focused on are a few questions. How can I generate leads today? How can I help my clients get results? And what enrollments or sales can I make so that I could be able to get to my goals, right? And one of the things that one of my first mentors corrected me, and she says, Adam, she said, do you know what your problem is on why you're at 6 figures and not at 7? And I said, why? She said, because you wake up asking yourself, how do I generate a lead today? How do I help my clients today? How do I make sales today? She says, if you want to make a million, you have to ask different questions. She said, instead of asking, how can I generate a lead? She said, I want you to ask, who can generate a lead for me? Who can help my clients with me? And who can make sales for me? And so if you were to take a moment and just reflect on that question, what is the question that you're asking yourself every day? Does every question that you ask lead to you doing the work, or does it invite other people to join the journey? Because in order to get to a million, the difference between being at 100K and getting to my first million is 100K, I was able to do it as a solopreneur. But in order to get to a million, I had to be able to bring people with me. Because what happens is if we don't have that mindset, which I've learned, then the way our days go is we begin to wake up focusing on all the things that we have to do in order to get results. And what that ultimately leads to is it leads to this inner conflict that the more success I have, the more client expectations that I'm going to have to manage, or the more responsibility that I'm going to have to manage. So if we don't bring other people on to help us carry that burden, then we begin to take on that burden that leads to burnout. And so one of the questions I get is, Adam, how do you have the capacity to manage all of the things that you do? The reason why is I don't meditate on all the work ahead of me, and I don't meditate on all the responsibility, because I know that if I'm going to step into greater growth, I'm going to have someone there holding space that's going to take on responsibility along that journey. So I just have to be able to maintain relationships and continue to grow someone who can lead that division. So in principle, the way that I went from 6 figures to 7 figures is I went from asking myself the question, how can I do this, to who can do this for me? So as you begin to work with team, the next thing is that your question goes, or your messaging goes from how I can help you to how we can help you. So I remember being in a phase where everybody wanted to work with me. I was the guy. And the reason why everyone wanted to work with me is because in all my posts and all my emails and all my marketing, I said, hey, I can help you be able to get to your goals. And so everybody wanted to work with me. So what I had to do is on my messaging, begin to say, we can help you. And then in our enrollment calls, being able to say, our team can help you, we can help you. So what that does is it paints a vision of them working with the team versus just working with me. So I had to be able to practice that because it was a habit to just say that I could be the one to help, right? And one of the exercises that really helped is that as you begin to let go, this leads into our third principle, is that you want your business to be system-driven, not personality-driven. So if you think about all of the questions that come your way, right? If you're the one that all the questions flow to, then you are the root answer to everybody's solution, which also means that you will be the root to everybody's problems. So instead of being personality-driven, I had to learn to make my business system-driven. So what does this actually look like? Well, first, it's our instinct sometimes to be the hero. We want to be the one to help the clients win. We want to be the one to help the clients get results. How many of you are guilty of that? You go above and beyond, right? You over-deliver. That's a great quality. However, there becomes a bottleneck as you continue to grow because you're only one person, right? So the way that we get out of that and make the transition is we go from personality-driven to system-driven. How do we do this? The way that I had to learn how to do this is I had to be able to document something I call playbooks. Playbooks are the top 20 or 30 questions that your community is going to ask. And this is where I started. And I began to document the end-to-end answers to those playbooks that I knew people were going to ask about. So instead of me taking time to answer everybody's question, I was able to grow at the speed at which I can point to a resource. So the principle here is instead of being the source, be the resource. So now I'm able to point to the playbook to give them the end-to-end answer without me having to be there. So now I'm system-driven, not personality-driven. And that took some time to learn how to be able to document what my clients needs. If you were to think about a success path, so I'm going to put a picture up here of the success path. So this is the success path that I lead my clients through. And each one of these each one of these sections of this success path are milestones that I'm aiming to help my clients achieve. So I'm trying to get them to this end goal where they're just speaking, training, and leading, and they're not caught up in the rest of the business, right? That's the end game. So in order to be able to lead them down this path, I have to be able to have playbooks, because if I don't have that documented, every time someone is stuck on that path, the question would come to me. But now I can say, great question. Go look at your playbook 3.1 and get that answer. So that allowed me to be able to speed up and create acceleration for my clients without relying on my personality. So that is a game changer. So if you were to ask yourself right now, what is the success path for your clients right now? Do you have that documented? Maybe you could make a fun Candyland example, kind of how I shared, but do you have that documented? And then within that path, have you documented your milestones in playbook format, so that way you can be able to be more system driven instead of personality driven. So that is another shift that I made to go from 6 figures to 7 figures, as I had to go from being the guy, being the source, to being the resource. What also helped me with this is this exercise. So if you think about the impact you want to make, for example, you may think or dream about a testimonial that you want to see from your clients. So you picture the impact you want to make. You write that dream testimonial that you hope to receive one day. But you know what's more powerful than getting a testimonial from a client? It's getting a testimonial from your client of who someone on your team and of someone on their team and how that person on your team was able to help them get that result. So today, my testimonials might say something like, Lucy changed my life, or Anthony changed my life, or Audrey changed my life. And so the coaches in our community are the celebrities in the group. I don't have to be the celebrity in the group. So I'm developing leaders and spending time, and this moves into the next principle. I spend time with my teammates like I would spend time with a client. So if you think about this for a second, and you were to think about how you spend time with your one-on-one clients, you invest into them. You answer their questions, you lead them, you guide them, you help them reach their goals. What if you were to spend the time you invest with your clients working with your team? Imagine who you could develop if you were to invest into them. And that's what I've done with the team that I lead, is I help them become the leaders that can lead my clients. And so now if my clients ask them a question that they don't know the answer to, I'm coaching my team to coach the client. And so what that's been able to do is really elevate the level of support in our community, so that once again, going back to that principle, it becomes more system driven than personality driven. And so now the testimonials that are coming in often don't have my name anymore, not because I'm not the one. I mean, they show honor, of course, because they know that, I'm the one that's been making their playbooks and leading them, but they also give credit to the coaches who've played an impact in their journey. So why that's so special is because I remember when I was at 6 figures in my mindset that I wanted to be the guy. I wanted to be the guy that, helped them with their breakthrough. I was so happy for them, and I would be so excited when they would give me credit for how I made an impact, because it brought me joy. But today, it's no longer about me being the person. It's about being able to develop other coaches to take on that story. So the last and final principle here is you want to be able to go from being the integrator to having an integrator. And so a lot of times when you're building out vision, you're the one that has to put everything together. And for many years, I would try and hire contractors to help me put together a funnel, or hire a contractor to put together, my email list, or a copywriter to help manage my emails. One of the things about an integrator and bringing them into your vision is that they could build things at the speed in which you have the vision for it. So let's say, for example, you were to take one of my trainings. I have over 17 ways that I teach my clients how to grow their business and generate revenue. Let's say that you were to watch one of those ways in our mastermind. Let's say that you were to implement it. You can take the time and do it on your own and try and manage all the pieces to that strategy. But if you had an integrator, you have a meeting with someone who's building the vision with you, and now you can say, hey, I really like the strategy that Adam talks about on how he leverages JV partnerships. I want you to watch that training that he has, and I want that whole system built by next week. Let's review it, and then let me know what you need of me. And so all you do is you step into what's needed of you. That strategy gets implemented, and so your vision comes to life at the speed of your integrator. What that allowed me to do is speed up the level I can generate results. And so if you were to think about right now, who could be an integrator for you? What would that look like? What would that investment be? If you were to have that investment, how could that investment pay off if you can accelerate the speed at which you can implement a system, which you can implement a strategy? I'll tell you what, that is the thing that impacted me the most on my journey, is being able to partner with an integrator who can build a vision at the speed in which I have my ideas. So to go from 6 figures to 7 figures in review is, you got to go from asking, how can I do this, to who can do this for me? Once you start bringing on people on your team, you start changing your messaging from how can I help you to how we can help you, right? And so we eventually get to this place where we go from personality driven to system driven, as we are no longer the person or the source, but we become the resource, right? And then we go from being the integrator to having the integrator. And so it's a little bit of a different mindset, but as you begin to ask yourself these questions and you know what it looks like, you could begin to plan your pathway to being able to get to that $1 million business. So if you like this video and got some nuggets from it, then I'm going to put in the description one of the next mastermind trainings that I have coming up that you're more than welcome to sit in. It's free. You can't buy anything. And I think you would be blown away by what you see, as I'm going to be drawing out what it looks like to scale from a 6-figure business to a 7-figure business. And maybe you're not there yet, but you want to learn to see what that looks like. I'll go ahead and drop the link so you can still sit in with us and experience it for yourself. And I think you'll be blown away by the experience. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you increase today.